We're off mute. Okay, good evening, folks. Our regular meeting. First, our video recording disclaimer. This disclaimer is to inform all participants that this meeting conducted in person and via Zoom will be recorded for record-keeping purposes. By participating in the meeting, you consent that the recording may contain, one, your video stream, including images of yourself, two, your audio stream. This includes any opinions you contribute. Anyone attending the recorded meeting may have aspects of their personal data recorded if they actively participate or not. By staying in the meeting, you consent to being recorded. By consenting and attending the meetings virtually or in person, participants also agree to recordings being posted to YouTube or other distribution services. Also like to acknowledge First Peoples and traditional territory. Armour Township is situated on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe. Armour Township recognizes the historical and contemporary contributions of the local First Nations, the peoples of Turtle Island. Where are my resolutions? I forgot to get them out. First up, we have set of minutes. Council Township of Armour approved the minutes of the regular council meeting held February 10th, 2026 as circulated. Can I get a mover here? Dorothy and then Jerry. Any errors, omissions, edits? All those in favor? It's carried. Do we have any declarations of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof based on tonight's agenda? Unnoted. Okay, we have one delegation, two applications tonight. So we will start with Barry and Diane from the Brooks Falls and District Historical Society. Over to you.
That's great. I'm happy to say I'm here without my no lithium white t-shirt on.
Nice to see. I didn't recognize you, Barry.
It's
cool.
But of course, once again, I got voluntold again. I'm going to be the one representing tonight. It seems to follow me around no matter where I go. So I thought we'd start off the night just by doing it. You don't mind if I sit and just present from here? Do you want me to start?
No, it's fine. Where you're comfortable.
Yeah. So we just thought we'd give you a quick update on what's happening with the Historical Society. As you know, we've been operating since 1966. We're a not-for-profit corporation. The first slide, I can't see the slides. Can you?
Oh, we just have them on our.
Oh, you have them on your screens. Okay. 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 So the first slide. So that shows our executive, and of course, you know, our president Diane has been our long-term president for quite some time, and some pretty dedicated members. And then the next page shows our directors: Peter Hall, Jenny Hall, Nevis from the library, and Diane Brandt and myself. We're all directors. We have 32 persons from our committee dedicated to make things happen and keep things happening. So what we've been sort of trying to get focused in our goal set up for 1996 is a 5-year plan of what we want to do, where we want to go, what we want to do with the sites. We want to increase community involvement and membership, create fundraising strategy to fund future projects, because we know they all cost money, everything we do. Prepare a master list of wishes and needs versus what we want, what we need to have, and what we want to have. Especially at the Watt Farm Historical Site, which is a great site. And this young lady beside me is continuing the detailed description and cataloging of over 6,000 artifacts. And we're about, 60 to 70% there?
No, you were going to say,
no, I think that's what you told me the other day.
I wish.
So just give you an idea of some of the amazing artifacts that we have. You know, the first one, so that the one to the left that's the black drawn hearse that we have that is just sitting and not in display. It's just in the garage being protected. The second one is I'm going to let Diane say it's
Lady Armour Rebecca Lodge.
Yeah.
Altar, not the altar, but it's the stand.
Yeah, the podium.
Yeah.
And then to the far right is just an old carriage. Just gives you an idea of the extreme, how far back our things go. So now we've got this wonderful new red building. That's great. So prior to this, the committee, we went for a tour of the Simcoe County Museum. which was great. So we went for a tour and we got to see all around. I used to chair the Simcoe County Museum Committee, so I was able to sort of get us in there. They treated us like royalty when we got there. We met with the director that
Kelly?
yeah, with Kelly. And so after that, she approached us and said, because she teaches at Georgian College, and she says, can we use some of your sites for my students that come and do projects on and do reports on as part of their course? So we, of course, volunteered to say, you're more than welcome to come up and send your students up anytime. So we thought that would give us all a bit of a shot in the arm. So on this page, we're looking at, a tentative layout of what we're hoping for the Red Building. We wish it was twice the size that it is at, second thought, but you can see, because there's 4 separate little cubicles that are actually about 10 feet by 5 feet. There's the service clubs, the medical and dentistry, the Ralph Weiss, who's the local trapper, and then a sports section. Then we want to put the horse-drawn fire hose wheel, and the various fire department artifacts that we have. And we have the Knight Brothers display cabinet, and it has a metal on it that says, built by the Knight Brothers. So it gives you an idea of how old it is. So there's a lot of history and a lot of artifacts here that we want to put on display. The next page shows you some of the dental artifacts that we have for the local dentist, and some of the medical artifacts from the local doctors that we had. And Dan can tell you their names. I don't, because that was before my time. But and then we managed to get a bunch of traps that's Mr. Ralph Weiss had. So we laid them all out. So, and we also have some of his pelts and everything else. So we would hopefully get that on display. And so we would really like to focus on some of the local heritage and the local persons of the area. The next page shows this amazing, and we're lucky to have this, is the fire hose, the horse-drawn fire hose wheels. We are a museum technically with all the stuff we have and all the artifacts we have. So our main issue right now is we've got this beautiful building sitting empty for 2 years because it's got no heat in it. We really need heat to move forward, and we want to be able to display our artifacts in there, and we've got great ideas for a display and how we're going to enhance the displays after being to the museum at Simcoe County. We have 3 quotes, and none of them are cheap, but we submitted them to the Mr. CAO over there and had discussions with him, and then we all sort of agreed that Tussle Heating was the most economical solution. They did 2 site visits to confirm we would actually put the furnace up in the attic out of the way, which we thought was good. So you can see the bill. You can see the total number at the bottom. So at our last meeting, we passed a resolution supporting your resolution that you don't want to do the big fair, that the Heritage Day fair. So we supported that with the idea of being able to do some more local stuff and have some sort of. We just started to get into the discussion because you guys only passed this resolution about how we could have multiple sites and multiple events going on at each of the sites. So we're just sort of getting into that, and I'm quite excited about moving forward with it. And one thing I find about this team, once you start talking about an idea in your head, then the ideas start flowing like crazy, and it's we all just start thinking out loud real quick. It can get a little loud. And then we passed our resolution saying that, this was the cost, and we sort of went over a little bit of information on our budget. Bottom line is we're asking for funds to get this furnace put into this building, because we'd like to get it done sooner than later, so we can make use of it, especially if we're going to be doing events this year. We'd like to get things rolling in there. We did pass a resolution that we would be prepared to donate $5,000 towards the cause if needed. I know it's, it's a capital investment for you guys. One thing we have, we take it as we are serious partners involved in the preservation of the heritage of the area and this building that happens to be one of your assets. Because we spent $1,000 and hired an engineer to come and assess the barn for us. So we took that out of our funds because we wanted to know what the future of the barn was, what we could do with it. It's basically, it's beyond salvageable, but we needed an engineer to give us that opinion. So we're trying to look at finding ways of getting it torn down. Our long-term plan, that's why we're talking about a 5-year plan. We would like to get it dismantled and keep all the beams and any of the hardware that we can reuse and build a new structure using some of the old beams and incorporate into that. That's obviously down the road, but it would give us bigger facility, more. We actually, one of the things we talked about is basically making it an event space where we could actually have weddings and different things like that on a long-term plan. So that's just some of our long-term plans. So I come asking for money. Want to change from my usually here.
Shower's gone.
So, and we don't have a resolution for this tonight. I believe it's a budget discussion.
You can make one up.
Yeah, we could make that.
You can do one on the fly.
But opportunity for questions for Barry and Diane from council.
Just, you mentioned fundraising in part of your plans for fundraising. Do you have anything in mind to help raise funds towards this capital investment?
Well, we've just started, as we're just starting into our 5-year plan. I think the fact that we recognize that we have to do fundraising. We've had some rough ideas, some things of doing things like night at the museum, some different fundraising events like that. Things that we could hold at the house, and an event would be, and there'd be a cost involved for people to attend and things like that. So have a few tricks up our sleeve from past experiences.
So the intent of the building, Barry, is it with all the displays? Obviously, you want the public to come through that building.
Absolutely.
There was talk at one point about some concerns about public access. I know the wash has been redone. Is there anything else that still has to be done to that?
Well, I'd like to get the bid. To our knowledge, I'd like to get the building inspector and confirm, but we do have an accessible washroom, right? We certainly have access interior, and we have the big garage doors, so entrance and exit in emergency is not an issue. Getting heat in. The only thing I don't know about is if we would have to put a sprinkler system into the building.
Right.
That would be, but I know it's basically a street running down the center, so. And that's fine, so I would like, that's something that's just become this all sort of got thrown at us all at once, right? So we're sort of jumping in feet first and hope the hell we can swim, sort of.
This might need fire extinguishers and.
Well, that's a given.
Yeah.
That's a given.
Joe, we'd have to get Joe in to have a look at that.
Yeah, that's a given. Fire extinguishers and stuff like that's pretty normal. There is electrical and plus, so I think we're okay that way. Lighting is sufficient, things like that. So I don't see any major big expenses other than what type of flooring we would want to put down. We had talked about getting some of
The epoxy, I think Jenny looked into the epoxy.
and we were looking around. Do you recall the price?
I think what did she say, 12 grand?
Yeah, around, but that's something that can be down the road. I mean, we don't necessarily have to do that to get the place open and get,
Is it now just concrete floor?
yeah, it's just a concrete floor.
Go ahead, Dr.
Do we heat the farmhouse in the winter?
Yes.
Do we know how much it costs a year to heat that farmhouse?
I don't have,
It's propane, so I don't know.
we have a general utilities line. Like I've got some facts here on utilities. I think, so 2019, we were about 5,000 for utilities, 3,600 in 2020. So in between, I think that the highest one that we've had is about 6,000 total it was in 2022.
So we would be looking at potentially doubling our utilities to heat that building in addition to heating the house.
There's
Hydro.
potential for, yeah. So we, one of the things we've just done over the last few weeks is a heat loss study performed. Anytime you're adding heating to a facility, you have to have a heat loss study done. So there was a recommendation done, but there wasn't an estimate on how much propane that would take to heat. So that would be something that I think we learn along the way if council decided they wanted to go in this direction. And I will just make one correction. So one of the major challenges to having public occupancy is the egress clearance, particularly from the front door. So the chicken coop would have to come out.
Oh, that's right.
The chicken coop would have to come out. And other concerns that we had some staff members and myself was egress through the back door. It's a pretty big slope coming out of there. So potentially putting in some material and having a walkway up the west side of the building. So coming out the south exit, the big door, coming up around the side. So, I mean, that's just moving materials in according to Dave, but I know in past conversations, we had talked about kind of taking a look at all of the things that we would need to do and then the potential to either put towards funding and try to accomplish many tasks. So our previous CBO had said that in order to make it publicly accessible, we would need to have that clearance and consider a path of egress out the south and south and the west side of the building.
So we're looking at about $35,000 to have it finished to a point that it can be like finished with flooring to a point that it can use for the public.
The flooring isn't necessarily required for public occupancy. I think one of the big questions with the chicken coop now is what's holding up the chicken coop or the implement shed.
And it's got to come down. Like it's not safe. Yeah.
The chicken coop has to come down.
I mean, even the drive shed. I mean, we've got the engineer reports for the barn, the drive shed.
Eventually,
and that's we invested the money into that because we wanted to be educated when we come and talk to you and just trying to make this big plan. So as Mr. CEO was saying, we want to prepare a bigger list of and getting to a little more detail of just everything that needs to be done, to the property, not just getting heat into the building and making the building operational.
And just for an update for council as well, the main issue that the heating or the HVAC unit would solve is particularly as we're coming into the spring now. So a question that was asked earlier this week is, do we need heat if spring's coming? The humidity level in the building itself was about 80%. It's fairly humid. I store guitars in my house, and so I have a humidity sensor. And if it gets over 50, I'm putting them away and making sure they're all locked up. So there's a lot of humidity there. I think the major concern is, if you were to store newspapers or things like that in there, there is a massive problem with cluster flies if anybody was in there. So it was a little bit of a challenge, but those are some of the main concerns.
And this includes heating and air conditioning.
Yeah.
Right, so it's
dehumidification.
Yeah.
So with
Is there insulation in this building at all?
It's R20. So there is some insulation. Typically what you see with steel, it's got the kind of insulation with plastic wrap over it. Yeah. It's not a huge amount.
So without this heating and air conditioning, the building cannot even be used for storage.
It's called storage.
Yeah. Some of the storage that you'd want to again, if you're looking to preserve the integrity of things like newspapers and stuff like that, you wouldn't put them in there. Larger implements, like some of the ones shown here, the fire hose reel, all that type of stuff, eventually the wood may suffer. If you were looking at some of the farming implements, the old plows, things like that, stuff that had been stored outside at the Wiseman's Corner Schoolhouse for years and years and years, probably wouldn't have too much of an issue. But anything delicate may struggle.
If you put metal in there, it'll rust. It's that
80%, yeah.
easy.
Okay.
Other questions?
Not so much about, I understand you're tidying up things out at the Chatwin Way. Do you have a presentation at all that you go to Ryerson and say what we need to do with the old schoolhouse?
We just talked about that. Yes, we do need to go to.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yes, and I was just saying because the idea of if we do this Heritage Day versus a Heritage Festival, where because there was talk about doing some things in Katrine and then that schoolhouse there. I have a few other thoughts in mind, something down by the river. And then also, we definitely plan to approach Ryerson about getting involved. Burks Falls does contribute $5,000 every
Yes,
year.
Burks Falls gives us donates $5,000 each year.
Yeah.
I'll go back to the old schoolhouse. I mean, that's where it all started.
Yeah.
And I understand why we transitioned. There was issues that were needed that hadn't been addressed at the schoolhouse. So it was a convenient changeover, but the schoolhouse is still there. It's still.
We look after it.
We still have artifacts in there and displays. And last summer, July, August through to the end of August, I had, it was open Friday and Saturday. So the employees that we had hired, they took turns, they switched weekends off when we didn't have a volunteer, and they were at the schoolhouse. And we had quite a few visitors stop in on Fridays and Saturdays. But that's about the only, unless without the volunteers, that's about the only time I can be open is Friday, Saturdays.
Yep.
And now we did have a volunteer, Kirk Dogood. He was at the Fell Homes, and then him and his wife, they moved back down towards where the car races are. Those, anyways, yeah. So he was back down there, but he enjoyed going to the schoolhouse because there was always people dropping in, and he had somebody to talk to about the area and that. But there's always interest in people at the schoolhouse. If they see it open, they're going out to Screaming Heads, they'll just stop.
And the property directly beside the where the old bridge is, we had some events in there as well on
Colin Love.
Colin
Love. He bought the Wiseman's property next door, the farm.
Yep.
So sometimes when he was doing some events, like he did that in June. There was a couple of the classes from the school come out. So they come out, they toured through the schoolhouse, and then he took them next door to his property, and whatever was planned happened there.
And 1 year we had the teepee.
He did that. He does that on his property.
And that was, because I remember they set it up there. Anyways, So we're always planning events,
No, I just hope it didn't. I was just hoping that the schoolhouse just didn't get.
Oh no! It's
The public school used the schoolhouse as part of their trip, and then they loaded and unloaded to first they did the schoolhouse, and then they moved into the field.
So there were 2 different classes come out in June, the same day. They had one class come out in the morning, and the other class come out in the afternoon. And I was there for the morning. Jarv Osborne, he went in and was at the schoolhouse when the class from the Land of Lakes went down in the afternoon. But they took turns, and so they went through, and then Colin took them next door to his property, and he had stuff planned there as well. So
they planted trees and whatnot.
Yeah.
Is there heat at the schoolhouse?
No, there's no heat at the schoolhouse. So when I go in the fall, I have to pack up a lot of stuff. I've taken a lot of items to the farmhouse.
Okay.
There is heat at the schoolhouse. There is heat at the schoolhouse. But it's turned off.
I think I remember seeing a wood stove in there, but
no, there's an electric furnace there, but it's set very low.
Oh, okay.
And I mean very low.
Wendy has another question.
What were your numbers for out at the farmhouse this last year? Do you have those?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know being at the schoolhouse, there was at least weekends we had maybe 10, a little bit more than 10 people between Fridays and Saturdays. But I don't remember off the top of my head.
Well, actually, not sure what was.
No, I'd have to go back and look at my report. It was in my report in October.
Okay, we can look it up. I've probably got that. Okay.
And that's part of our 5-year plan is how do we promote it? So it's not just, there's lots of us old people like to go to museums, right? I mean, whenever I'm in a small town, there's a museum, I'm in it. And, so that type of thing. And it's just, just out of your interest. I'm a lighting engineer by trade, right? So I've done museums all over the world and I worked on museums. I did the Hall of Mammals at the Smithsonian Institute in Washington. I've done art galleries in China. I've done the Canoe Museum up north in the Yukon. So in Alberta, the Dinosaur Museum up there. So I have a pretty good idea on lighting and museums. And so museums is kind of, it's my gig. It's what I do. I'm into it. So that's why I'm on the Heritage Society here. So
The students were very intrigued. I was actually quite impressed for the age.
Yeah.
How like genuine intrigue while we were there. It was impressive.
and the Cubs were there as well, right? The Cubs are the Girl Guides.
If they were there, it was before my time.
No, I heard just this year that they were there. Okay, I'm hearing stories.
Yeah.
Maybe it's someone else.
Maybe you should mention Diana.
Well, the Cubs, you're talking about the Watt Farmhouse. The Cubs were there a couple of years ago. Snell's had brought the Cubs through 2 years ago. So
Could mention in regards to the people asking you about people.
asking you about people.
Yeah, your ancestry portion.
Oh, well, we have a lot of inquiries to do with the genealogy. Like when Wilma was there, she started a lot of family histories. And I mean, a lot of family histories. There's a lot of files there. And we do get inquiries from people. We never know when, but we get inquiries from people about they're looking for information on their families going back into the years and that. And Mikey does a lot of that. He's connected to the ancestry. So he will do a lot of that research, send me a copy so I can print it off and put it in the files at the farmhouse. And I just met a couple at the Legion last Friday night. They're just new in the area and they found out that there's a historical society. So they've already been asking me questions. So.
Okay, so we have, we'll take your report under advisement. It's next month is budget month. So we'll be talking about all this.
The timing was right.
So the timing is right. Yeah, to get it on the table. So, any other questions for the Historical Society? Thanks very much for coming in. Appreciate it. Information. Okay, we are on
I'm
to
going apart.
applications, item 4. We have Mark's here in the crowd at the back there, Mark Armstrong. So this is
Thank you.
723 Skyline Drive. And the report is item 4 in your package. This one has already been through and has gone to the planning board. Maybe Shar, if you want just a quick summary of the issue, and Mark will give you a chance to speak as well.
So just a bit of back history with it. When Mark first approached the municipality about the lot addition, there was no mention of an official plan amendment or zoning bylaw amendment. It was pretty straightforward. But when the circulation went out, the mapping that was attached was a flag and to our planner, and based on the way that it was submitted or circulated, the planner's application or reports detailed that an official plan requirement was required. The planning board's planner followed suit with that, but it's when the notice of decision was received, Mark came in and expressed concern. So I offered to send it back to our planner, our new planner, for a second opinion, and you have Landscape's opinion recommending that the official plan requirement be removed based on his report.
Okay, but the zoning bylaw still.
The zoning bylaw would still in play.
Okay.
But the official plan amendment would not be a requirement.
Okay. Mark, we have your email here, but is there anything you want to add from your perspective?
No, I don't think so. I think that pretty much covers it off. Because we're not doing any kind of development to the land, it's not being developed into anything further. And the condition that Bob was looking for was basically to reestablish that that is not a new lot and can't be developed. Well, if the minute it's severed and attached to the big portion of land, it becomes part of that back lot. It can't be severed anyways. So this is going to be a $6,000 cost to me to state something that's already stated. So it just seems like a redundant request. So.
Okay. Questions for Shar or for Mark? Okay. So we do have a resolution to amend the condition or remove the condition. Whereas the Corporation of Township of Armour hereby receives the planner's report BO 49-25 lot addition Armstrong 723 Skyline Drive, Part Lot 21, Concession 4, Part 1, 42R-22453, dated February 20th, 2026. Whereas the applicants have requested council consider the removal of condition number 6 of the Southeast Parry Sound District Planning Board decision dated February 9th, 2026. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of Township of Armour continue to support consent application BO 49-25, part lot 21 concession 4, 723 Skyline Drive, submitted by Mark and Susan Armstrong for a lot addition, and requests the Southeast Parry Sound District Planning Board remove condition 6 from their February 9th, 2026 decision.
Sure.
Jerry
Sure.
and Rod. So this wouldn't finalize it. It would have to go back to the planning board again, but
Yes.
any other questions on it? We'd have it on the table.
The thing is, they'll have our planner's report, correct?
The planner's report and our resolution.
Yeah.
And Linda was supportive of the official plan amendment being removed. She had actually expressed concerns about it as well.
Okay. All those in favor? And that's carried. Next step would be back to the.
Again, Linda's more than happy to be done with me as soon as possible. But thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Bye, Mark.
Okay. Item 5, the shipping container provision update.
So you have two resolutions there, one for authorizing the former planner to proceed based on his email request, or our new.
Okay. Catching up here. So I won't, because there's two separate resolutions, I won't read them in. So I guess we need some further background, if you wouldn't mind sharing questions from council.
One question, how's this gonna affect people that put containers? That mean they're just gonna go willy-nilly through a container on a lot?
This is what.
If it's under size and we don't get to say where it goes?
So you end up with multiple containers.
On front yards.
Yeah.
Have provisions where that they have to be in the rear yard.
Yeah.
And we have a maximum number of shipping containers that are permitted, but
We could build that into the new bylaw as well, right?
Yeah,
The
so
thing is, if I don't need a building permit for it, it could be like a shed.
But we would have bylaws as far as
requirement setbacks, whatnot, for accessory structures, even ones that don't require a building permit, you still have to meet setbacks.
and we also have, like, what is that? The way your yard looks, what is that bylaw?
Property standard.
Standards, would it be covered under property standards?
If you want to put a shipping container on your piece of property now and you comply with 2017, do you need a building permit to locate it on your property?
Yes.
You do. And we're suggesting the new bylaw would remove the requirement for it.
So with the changes in the Ontario Building Code, based on, you no longer require building permits for shipping containers under 15 square meters in floor area.
So that's right under the building code. That's not
Yeah.
anything.
That's the same as sheds,
It
right?
just complicates things.
Yeah. Because for sheds, it's 160 square feet now too, isn't it? Used to be 100, now
Like
it's
it's-
60 or.
I think a lot of stuff moved up, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's gone up. It used to be 100, it's 160 now.
I don't think that's anything we can control, but we can control where.
No, the building code is the building code.
We can control where we allow them and what zone we allow them in.
Yes, yes. So the decision is with this recommendation from the planner, whether we ask Bob to proceed with it or whether you want Planscape to. I'm fine with either one. Bob's the one that's brought this up and he has the history with this. But it's up to you how you want.
Well, I think we currently employ Planscape, right? Would it not make more sense to keep it with them?
To you.
Also, and I don't, one way or the other doesn't matter, but it was brought to our attention by Bob. If we are still using him as a resource, if he thinks we won't use his resources or give his some
Opinion.
consideration, he may not follow up on stuff and bring us up to speed, whereas like something like this might have been months, years before it came back to us to this note, right? I appreciate Bob looking out for us in his ability or whatever you want, his interest in the area. Whereas I don't get that feeling with our planner. Our planner's available if we need him, if we ask him, whereas Bob seems to go out of his way to, let's bring this up to speed.
And Bob's the type of guy that works after hours.
I assume this isn't a big piece of work and it's not like we're talking hours and hours.
No, and Bob already has
He's already got that.
bylaw.
No, I don't have an issue with.
I'd be okay to let Bob.
You're okay with it?
And I mean, like, I think I'll consider this minor, whereas we want to get a new planner on board with some more serious items.
So there's lots.
Okay.
There's lots. Don't you worry about that.
What do you mean, we're gonna do this in those?
Okay, so I'll read in version 1. Council Township of Armour accepts the recommendation from Robert Miller, land use planner, and authorizes the planner to proceed with the zoning bylaw amendment to bylaw 26-2017 for shipping container provisions. You get a mover?
Sure.
Wendy and Rod. Oops. All those in favor?
Sure.
That's carried. And this one is not needed.
I don't think so.
All right, we're up to bylaws. We welcome our new CBO. Council Township of Armour have read and approved bylaw 11-2026, being a bylaw to appoint Andrew McGee as the chief building officer, and that we authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of the corporation there too. Dorothy. And the seconder.
Sure.
Rod. Any discussion, questions? All those in favor? We now have a CBO. And sort of related to that, we have services agreement. Council of Township of Armour have read and approved bylaw 12-2026, being a bylaw to enter into a shared service agreement with the town of Huntsville, the township of Perry, and the township of Lake of Bays for the services of chief building officials, building inspectors for the township of Armour. And we authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of the corporation there too. Mover.
Sure.
We got Wendy and Jerry. Any questions around this one? This is just to provide backup services, which we have needed,
Yes, we have.
and hopefully we won't need.
The major change was adding Lake of Bays in. It was discussed I believe at external networks that it makes sense based on where a lot of their CBOs are located to have them as part of it. I think it makes an awful lot of sense. I think that there's a couple of staff members in Lake of Bays that live in Armour Township. So in the event that we have vacation, need to activate that, they're pretty handy.
Okay. All those in favor? And that's carried as well. All right, we are into reports. And I think, is Allison on? Allison's in Zoom land, right?
Yes, she's here for this for.
Okay, so first up, we have the financial indicator review. Happens to be the part of the map course I'm going through right. So we have a report in here. It's item 8 from Tina, and I guess, and Allison, we have you online. If there's any further background you want to provide on this report from Tina and the one noted.
Yep,
concern.
I'm here.
Tina discussed this with us when she was in, did she not? Or did you reference this already?
Nope. We just received this.
Did you-
This is based on our 2024 FIR.
Okay. So the only change is that one with the moderate risk, Allison?
Yeah, it was high from
Actually
the
high.
2023, and now it's gone to moderate.
And this is around taxes receivable. It's basically collecting taxes, is that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And everything else is low risk, so.
Yeah, it was all low.
Yeah.
Do they make any suggestions around what we might be able to do in terms of, I mean, we've got provisions for people making payment in any number of ways. Is there an issue with that, or is it just the turnaround time on collecting taxes sometimes?
They don't make any recommendations. It's just probably our internal process to get letters out to people that owe tax arrears and just to try and get the people that are very past due to pay.
Didn't we change our bylaw from 3 years to 2 years? Just.
That's why we went from
Yeah, okay.
risk to moderate.
Yes, okay.
In some cases, it only takes one or two fairly large properties to be in arrears
Yeah.
to bump that up. So it's not necessarily an across the board problem that can be triggered by.
Okay.
I don't know about in this particular case what it is, but
Yeah,
That's all.
we did have like a waterfront property that did go through tax sale that would have been included in that because that just closed in 2025.
Anything else in the report, Allison, that you want to point us at or point out?
No, everything else is low risk, so I think we're good in everything else. It was just taxes receivable that was moderate. But we did improve from the year before, so that's good.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions for Allison? All right. Thanks, Allison. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Next up, we have the Historical Society February 16th meeting. And Shar, if there's anything further from that, we had the presentation today already.
Yeah, so you're aware of the two resolutions, one regarding the heating at the Red Building and one supporting the refocusing of Heritage Festival. So the Historical Society did form a subcommittee specifically for Heritage Festival to work with Danica. And they like the idea of having something at the KCC and events going on or something between the two heritage centers. So refocusing it, understanding that, we're going to lose the firefighter challenge and, but excited to have people back at the farmhouse on Heritage Day. So the only other thing is that the annual general meeting is this month. So.
You can get your hot dog at KCC, get the mustard out at.
Read my mind.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I miss anything, Doug?
No, you did good.
Right.
You're my boss, remember?
I come up with good ideas, eh?
Make them do that at home.
Make your
You
kid.
want your hot dog in the kitchen, you can get the condiments in the garage for
I
walking.
never thought of it, Dorothy.
Any questions for Shar or for Diane on the report? Okay. Tri-Council 2026 draft budgets and reports. And we've got some resolutions for these. So this is item 10. So the tri-R waste, we've seen this one couple times. Council of Township of Armour approves the 2026 tri-R waste management budget in the net amount of $285,322, with the Township of Armour share being $139,099. Wendy moving. Seconder, Dorothy. When you get a cut in the budget, you just take it while you can. So
Exactly.
all those in favor? I think that's carried. Next up is the arena budget. Council Township of Armour approves the 2026 Armour Ryerson Burks Falls Memorial Arena budget in the net amount of $550,141, with the Township of Armour share being $183,300.
Sure.
Rod and Jerry.
Did they say last night that that Brooks Falls hasn't approved the budget yet though for the arena? So they might consider changing it?
Anything's possible.
I didn't hear that. But was that said last night?
I thought they said that it's not approved till next month, and Graham suggested potentially changing rates by
I think he did say that.
Oh, the
rental rates protection. And then I thought Chris Hope said that was something that could be considered.
I didn't realize it was
The capital fees or something. So that's not as easy as what they're putting it. They have to go through.
Fees and charges, right?
Yeah, so they have to advertise that, and it's got to go to their council a couple of times.
So it's not something that will be done by next budget. Okay, perfect.
No.
Perfect.
If we pass this and they make it less, that's okay.
Okay.
All right. Do we have a mover and a seconder? All those in favor? That's carried.
I'd really like it when they photograph or email everything, that I can read it. I couldn't read any of them figures last night on the paper.
Tried.
I'm gonna take my computer next time so I can.
Print it on tabloid for you. To roll it.
I'm gonna have to get my eyes fixed again.
I do have a question about the arena, but I'll open that can of worms when we talk about the subcommittee later on. So question I didn't ask last night that I want to get your opinion on. Okay, next up is the fire budget. Council Township of Armour approves the 2026 Brooks Falls and District Fire Department budget in the net amount of $649,876, with Township of Armour share being $310,901.
Sure,
Jerry,
sure.
Rod. All those in favor?
It's nice to see the building going up to
Yeah, it looks good.
Sixer and
Yeah.
above the snow now.
Yeah.
Every day,
Oh, yeah.
see progression.
I was talking to Joe today and he said it's the same people building this that built Magna. So they're happy.
6 weeks ahead, yeah.
They're happy down there. Everything's nice and prim and proper and squarely built. So it's a good thing.
They warmed up out there and now they're professionals.
So sure, did you say, just going back on the fire budget, was the software in the fire budget already? So we don't need this resolution?
So when the agenda package first went out, it was a separate report and it wasn't included. So I emailed Nancy, said, hey, what am I doing with this? So then she revised the whole agenda package and put it in. But I kept the resolution in our meeting for tonight just because it's replacing Code Red. And you had provided instructions for Amy regarding it. So I think it's easier for Amy to track with this new software.
Replacing Code Red. I don't know.
Not yet, but
I talked to Joe today about that and it's in his budget for this year.
yeah, it is.
And what he explained to me is, yeah, we got the Code Red for another year.
Yep.
But this allows him to input all the information this year ahead of time. So he'll be up and running by next year.
Yeah.
Transition.
Yeah. They'll still have all the stuff to be able to use as he puts it in.
Yeah.
But he's really really enthused about it.
It sounds like a pretty good software package, but I kept that in there just based on Amy's,
Yeah.
Amy's report from last
Okay,
meeting.
so I'll read this one as well. Council Township of Armour accept the fire chief's report dated February 24, 2026, and approve the purchase and implementation of the first due software platform at a first year cost of $17,150, including software configuration and initial training. And further, the council approve the ongoing annual subscription cost beginning in year 2 in the amount of $13,150 per year. Further, that council acknowledges that the implementation of First Due will replace the existing Code Red service currently utilized by the 3 municipalities. Sure. Seconder, Dorothy. Questions? It's kind of a done deal because it's in the budget and we already approved the budget, but
Yeah.
It's expensive though.
it is a little pricey.
It's the annual.
Save one life, it's paid for. Could be ours.
Could be.
Well, and I think yesterday Joe suggested that instead of walking around with a clipboard around, instead of going around the trucks, like it's getting us to a much,
Well, yeah,
Like-
I didn't realize they were doing absolutely everything still manually.
and well, it's also incredible. As much as it kind of feels like Big Brother, it's incredible that like as a person, I can upload my house so they know where to be looking for my children. He said you can add a dog.
Yeah.
We have another dog. Like, so when the fire department's arriving, they're like, there's 2 dogs, 3 kids, and
They know the layout of the house and where
You have to constantly update it where the dogs are.
but the
Dorothy has a husband.
Now you get to know who's visiting.
Yeah, no, it's good. There's some things,
Sleep over tonight.
there's some things I'm sure they're gonna be aware of, but you know, there's the privacy implications of people accessing software online and putting their personal information in there. So but anyway, that's to figure out when they.
And that ends up staying in Canada, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay. All those in favor? We doubled down on the software. Okay. All right. Next one up is the Health Council contribution invoices. So this is a report that we received from Burks Falls. This is item 12, 11. And so we've got reports going back to 2004 and 2005, it appears, on their shortfall in terms of running the health center. We actually had a meeting about where this came up yesterday. We had a meeting of the Space and Building Committee for the Health Council yesterday. Dave was there. And this subject came up. And Perry has raised some issues in their conversation at their last council meeting about because they received the same invoice. So I'll read the resolution in, but then we can chat about it. Council of the Township of Armour approves the payments of $3,380 to the Village of Burks Falls for the Omegan Highlands Health Center 2024 deficit and $8,353 to the Village of Burks Falls for the Omegan Highlands Health Center 2025 deficit. So we can get a mover and seconder just to get it on the table. Rod and Dorothy. Questions, concerns?
$10,000 of the deficit is for a reserve.
A capital reserve.
Yeah.
So you have $10,000 less in savings than you were hoping. So you'd like us to give you money to put towards your savings for your reserve.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, there was some discussion about this yesterday. I think, you know, when you look at the local share, you know, it's hard to compare both just based on the scope of it. But when you look at local share, all municipalities are building their own reserves for local share. So if council decided they wanted to build a reserve to help go towards capital investments for the health center, the question that was brought up is what's more appropriate, to give them money for their reserve or to keep our own reserves such that when the time comes available to make a capital purchase, they can do so. So there was some kind of back and forth, I think, on the appropriateness of what makes the most sense. If I jump right to the end of the conversation from yesterday, essentially what we had pushed back was to develop an operational funding agreement with the village that would essentially cover that. It would give them some peace of mind knowing that they're going to have some contributions coming from partners and something that is kind of agreed upon and signed. When I look back through the documentation that Kim put together, it was fairly robust. Was the whole 110 pages? Did anybody else see that? Because I know it was just sent out.
The one from Perry, or
yeah,
I think it was just us on the committee. It didn't go to anyone.
Yeah, so there was.
Oh, I'm stuck in that email group.
There was a fair amount of information, and I think the short history, you can correct me if I'm wrong here because you would have lived it, was 2011, 2012. The building was given to Brooks Falls. At that point, it was Rod that told me today that Armour had offered to help cover some of the costs of that, which I believe was refused for whatever reason. They felt they could handle it. 2019, they started asking for funds again. Allison actually ran a bunch of ran through our accounts and determined, I've got on my phone here, so I apologize, I'm looking at my phone in a council meeting, but 2021, the Armour contributed towards the 2020 deficit. In 2022, we contributed towards the 2021 deficit. There was an email exchange that went back and forth requesting that these requests be made by the Almaguan Highlands Health Council, not come from the village of Burks Falls. Therefore, in 2023, we couldn't find any record of a payment for the 2022 deficit, and then we paid again last year. So there's some inconsistency as to how this has been handled over the years, and now, of course, we're getting 2 years at once. I think if we can get an agreement put into place, I did a very smash and grab version of the minutes that I sent over to the CAO clerk at Burks Falls to see if we can get an agreement put into place. But the committee felt that if we look at that agreement first, and then we look at capital afterwards, whether it's most appropriate to contribute towards a Burks Falls reserve or keep our own reserves individually. And then I also thought that in the local share, there is a portion that is being, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but there's a portion of that local share that is being kept aside for local needs.
20%, yeah.
Yeah, so there's that part of the conversation to come in as well. So the biggest concern, I think, was that there are monies being taken out of this to go into their capital reserve, and the general sense that I'm getting is that there's a better way to go about that to keep the money more localized.
The comment that Rod made when they took over that building, what Armour was interested in contributing towards was the renovation. There was massive renovations required. And if I recall correctly, our number was somewhere around $30,000 or $35,000. But Armour Council of the day said, we're not prepared to invest in that amount of money in a building we have no ownership. And that was sent back to Burks Falls. They were not interested in anybody being a part of the ownership of the building. So
is that how I just remember them saying no, but I remember us ending it.
We were involved, we wanted ownership for that kind of money.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where
I forgot that part of the conversation.
Sure. Well, there was some more discussion around the table yesterday of are we really interested in having ownership, any part of ownership over a 75-year-old building?
Yeah.
I believe some comments came up of if we are invested into making sure that residents can have access to the services that are available there. I think the appropriate number needs to be determined and appropriate agreements need to be in place to provide them with assurances of the revenues they're going to have coming in, as well as the expectation that the reporting and the transparency behind the numbers be in place as well. It was generally hoped that a draft agreement could be circulated sooner than later, prior to summer. So we're waiting to hear what type of support Burks Falls might need to do that if they choose to.
As far as providing assurance regarding the revenues, they can just increase their rents by 29% to all of their tenants, and then hopefully they can cover their expenses.
One of the major concerns, if you look through the report that was listed in the reports, there's a number of tenants. So when MAHC decided to close the hospital, the services that remained offered to stay as long as rent wasn't charged. So the major services, family health team, X-ray, physio, blood work, lab, have all been in there at no revenue. So the supplementary revenue of the other tenants that are in there is what's being made to even things out. So it does.
That's been revisited. Like that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Has that been revisited with Huntsville Hospital Foundation or whoever the parties that be. The other issue is, I mean, I thought we were being asked to contribute to operating
Yeah, this was the big issue.
operating expenses, not any capital. Like, there's two pretty substantial items here, the one for 18,008 and the other one for 23.
And that's capital plus the reserve is also considered capital. So
So it makes zero sense to me that we're going to give you money so that you can put something into savings just in case something goes wrong with the building. So later you ask us for less money when you need us to fix your building. Also, the health center wages and benefits of $66,000. That's their employee. I'm assuming the employee who's part of her portfolio is to.
Maintenance guy.
That's the maintenance guy.
Presume. So
they have a full-time maintenance person.
They do now, which is another. I'll get into. There's another part to that story that I'll come back to. When we had the discussion yesterday, I think the thing that we would like to see is a bigger picture looking at the whole Algonquin Highlands, because everybody forgets the fact that Sundridge looks after Sundridge, Jolly and Strong operate that facility. And we can say, well, we don't use that facility, but let's not get into that argument because that's where everybody always wants to go. Some people use this facility. Some people from Sundridge use it. Some people go up to Sundridge. Dave made the point that you've got family members that have doctors up there. So let's forget that argument and look at this as what do we need to operate all of the facilities? That one, the one in Burkes Falls, and the new one if we ever get a new one. We have to, so we need a kind of a broader agreement. Why should Sundridge be paying what they pay up there? They had a deficit of $180,000 last year. So they're paying up there and then they're being asked to help with this building. That's not fair.
No.
So I think we need a broader agreement across the whole region. But to Wendy's point, we should not be covering capital costs because, and Perry went down this road too, said we have no interest in investing in a 75-year-old building. That was their council's take, which I think would be ours as well. And when I look at this deficit from last year, if I take out the capital and most of that salary, there frankly is no deficit.
Well,
it's $80,000 comes off, and that's what they're saying the deficit was. So
just the capital is 50. So we're at a $33,000 deficit.
Yeah. So no issue with paying if there's a shortfall from an operational point of view.
Yeah.
Telling them to just jack their rents up is not realistic because the doctors are in there. They get a set amount in their budget. If they're forced out of that building, that does nobody any good.
No.
So there's no point in going down that path. We're kind of subsidizing them, yes, and we're helping out again with the operational costs. But I think when they start getting into, they've got a 10-year capital plan for that building, and all of a sudden the bills are going to start coming to us to pay for it, and we have no ownership. That doesn't make any sense.
Or any power to help with decision making.
No power and potentially a liability where we put money in. We put money into a new roof, the roof collapses, and all of a sudden, like, are we on? Who knows?
Well, and we also have no say over who they're hiring to do the roof.
Right.
Like, so we've now paid for it, but we have absolutely no say. Also, the building, my understanding is the doctors that are in there, the government isn't willing to support the building any further because the building's not actually being utilized for medical services to the extent the 80% that the ministry requires. So it would have to be, the space would have to be reallocated and there would need to be more services in there for them to actually get more support from the ministry. That's, again, we're not managing the building. We can't make them do what's required to get the funding that they need.
So on Wendy's point, maybe it's time somebody, because I remember years ago, can't think of who it was, I lost my thought there for a second. We had somebody that would go after Huntsville and like try to negotiate. At some point we lost everything, but maybe we should go back and say, hey, look, you're building a new hospital. We've got like a percentage of our patients or your patients aren't going to Huntsville for x-rays. They're not running to Huntsville for blood work. It's all being handled here. Maybe we could relook at this.
Well, those conversations are happening around x-rays. So they're willing to pay to upgrade the x-ray and actually pay for the renovations in the building. They'll raise the money and do that.
Yeah.
Problem I got right now is are we going to do it in that building or are we going to look for a new building? So that's kind of where they're stuck. But they have committed to keeping that service there and they will pay for it.
And on your note, the mindset of this council is put your money, I believe we had said we would rather put our money to a new facility moving forward versus spending on, and same as Perry, why would we spend money on an old building? The mindset of this council is we want to do something new. Birch Falls wants to do something in their old building because it's in the confines of the village of Birch Falls. I don't believe they're looking at the best interest of, as a whole, the ratepayers in generally, Armour, Ryerson, Perry, Strong, they're looking at what we can keep in Birch Falls, regardless of how old it is, how much work needs to be done. They're stuck on what used to be there. And I mean, there's no reason, we've had this conversation before, but I mean, there's no reason why that facility couldn't be upgraded and demolished. Phase 1, phase 2, the property, there's a massive amount of property to be used, to be utilized in a today's standards, which, as I said before, nobody builds a building like a boomerang and thinks it's efficient. Like that was 1940s.
Yeah, if you back up and just think of the last night's meeting, somebody hired a consultant to look at the library. On a 10-year plan, you got to replace all the brick for over $200,000.
Yeah.
What about the hospital?
Good point.
Did they do an assessment on that?
They must have, it's part of the asset management plan, so they would have to.
They'd have to.
I would think.
So
That was brought up at the meeting yesterday. And so I understand there was the report that was created back in, I believe it was 2022.
Yeah.
That was a review of the building, but there was some discussion. It was my understanding there was some discussion at the AHC table with regards to, was that fulsome enough to gain a kind of a soup to nuts look at everything that could be wrong with the building, a full building condition assessment driven by a matrix that covers all the areas, architecture, engineering, HVAC, all of the pieces that are required. And in speaking with our former CBO, he said best practice in that case wasn't just to have one side of the experts weigh in on it. It was to have a multitude of them look at it, so that you could get a kind of a fulsome picture about that. I'm not sure. I know that was part of the topics that was supposed to be discussion.
Yeah, and it all stalled. It stalled out.
So if there's concerns about not understanding the full requirements of the building, and my understanding as well is that if they, in their capital asset plan, I would presume, I don't know, like you can't quote me on this, but I would presume that the study from 2022 was utilized to develop what that capital needs would be.
Yeah.
So it may not be fulsome based on conversations that have happened, or at least the feeling may not be that it is a fulsome review.
like if you got to replace the library brick in 10 years, could be able to replace that in 10 years. You know, really,
and
new building time. Wake up, guys! Come on.
But again, I mean, I would love to see somebody's internal report of the health center, because I know when they built the I've been babbled about this before, but I know when they did the renovations, the plumbing is behind the insulation. Like it's every year, every time that it dropped to 40 below, the water lines froze. That was a given. I mean, I patched drywall in most of those rooms.
And scab too.
I would like to see that somebody else picks that up.
I am not comparing an arena to a medical building by any means, and it's absolutely a resource that we need. But there's no difference between this and us saying, well, we rent out the arena. We have $140,000 worth of revenues for the arena every year, and but it costs $300,000 to carry. So let's ask all the other municipalities to throw in $160,000 divided by 10 so that we can cover our costs. No, find the money to cover your building. It's not up to other people to pay your deficits. That's like saying we should pay for the road repairs because that we need to use the roads to get to the medical building. Like, to what end? It's not our responsibility. Yes, our ratepayers use it. Absolutely, I appreciate that. Our ratepayers use OHIP, and OHIP charges the ministry. Like, it's not up to us. If they were in a brand new building and they were able to rent it out at full pop, would they be like, hey, actually, we made $10,000 on our building last year. We wanted to send you $1,000. Right?
And when I look at the last 2 years, like, I don't really see a deficit. If you take out as I say, if you take out the capital pieces, which they did, and so in the 2024 report, it looks like they removed a bunch of stuff. The elevator shaft, the capital key system, it looks like
There's no values in
there's
it.
no value, so they must have removed it. I don't know what building maintenance for $33,000 means, but
Yeah, that was a question I had, like, what's included in that?
and the other option is we go back to them and say, give us a report that just shows operating costs.
Yeah, take out the reserve,
Okay, remove the
take out any capital.
Now, they've included the salary of the maintenance person, but as of late 2025, they've actually contracted services to Sundridge for that resource. So they're getting money back.
So it's no longer $66,000 a year.
I don't know what the contract's for, but I know they signed a contract with Sundridge for that person to work both facilities
As a
maintenance person.
I assume that's where this building maintenance comes in at 27,967.25. But do you think it's up in the salary and wages?
Yeah, I think that's what it is, unless they're counting time that their admins are spending on.
My first thought was the health center wages and benefits was their admin, and the building maintenance was the contract from Sundridge. I would say that this is the entire wage of the admin that who's the medical building falls under their umbrella.
If you go to the health center wages and benefits, 5401, 66,299, and yet it's the same number in the actuals, and it's 58,856, but it's the same number.
So, thoughts. I mean, I don't want to appear difficult in terms of, and I don't think they should. I really don't think the burden of the operational cost should be all theirs. But I don't think we should be paying for their building.
I do believe that the operational cost should be out theirs. You want to operate it, you want sole ownership. We don't want to own it. It's 75 years old, but you want it. It's yours. By all means, operate it.
And see, I feel differently. I'm not interested in any capital. But if they are operating at a deficit for services that our ratepayers are using, rather than them having to go to Huntsville for X-ray and lab and whatever.
But are they operating at a deficit because of poor management?
Well, that we don't.
I was in a council meeting, I think you were there, where they approved $14,000 for flooding. Something was happening and they approved because, yeah. So we have no input on how you're going to, like, I would like to renovate your house, Rod. Pay for it.
Do you do any other houses?
But like, I just don't think, yes, I empathize with the fact that your operating costs exceed what you're making. Run your business better. Like it was free rent for the dentist. What was it, 2 years ago?
I brought that up. I mean, there's
6 months of free. You decided to give somebody 6 months of free rent, and now you're asking us for money to cover your deficits. Don't give free rent.
I said to Dave today that I got thrown that from the Agricultural Society's perspective was you need to manage your affairs better. And then the next turnaround, they turn around and want to have some money for what they're not doing. But I do agree with Wendy. I mean, I'd far rather go to Burkes Falls and have an x-ray and blood work than have to book it down to Huntsville. But you're right. With
Service.
With the dentist, what bothered me right from day one was this: the dentist practice. They're in it for money. They are not a nonprofit organization. It's not a community event. It's a business that's operation. They have two businesses, one in Huntsville, one in Sunridge. Burkes Falls wanted to make it more convenient for people in the village of Burkes Falls, but anytime anybody goes to do blood work or visit your doc over to there, you watch how many people actually walk into that place. There's very few people walk to the health center. They all drive. So the fact that we're going to drive to the Burkes Falls Center because they're open one day a week as opposed to driving to Sunridge 5 days a week, like, giving them free space was ludicrous.
I do appreciate very much that there are health services so close. I think that it is absolutely an asset for our ratepayers. Again, I don't want to pay. You gave free rent and then asked us for money. Don't. But because, and the reason you were able to do that is because we don't have a position in how you run your business. If we had a say, we would not have agreed to do free rent because then it makes the deficit that much higher.
If I may, I know that space had sat vacant for quite some time. And it's a pretty common practice for communities across kind of the active field. If you have vacancies sitting for quite some time, to offer whether it's 3 months or 6 months to allow your operation to be established, so you can start making money off of it. And the notion there too is that after a year, if you're going to make 50% of your rents in a year, 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing over the course of the year if you didn't rent that out. So it had been encouraged actually by economic development for things like Win This Space and other ventures for downtown space that was owned to consider, listen, phase it in, work with the businesses to get started and launch them. So, you know, if I was wearing my ACE hat or I was wearing my ECDEV hat, I would have said it's probably strategic to offer a little bit of space to get their foot in the door and to get things started. When you're looking at making up a bit of a deficit, it is a tough challenge to throw. But again, I don't know if I was put in that position, if I would have made any different call than what would have been made to get them through the door.
I appreciate that perspective, and I think that is very fair. However, that's not the only business decision they've made with running this building that I wouldn't necessarily agree with. Why are we paying? Because of your inability to run your business.
So, suggestion, we can reject this request, but have it go back to the same committee that Dave's working on around a broader agreement that everyone in the area can look at all of the facilities, including Sunridge, this one and any new one, and look at what can we stomach across the entire region, which is potentially, I think operational costs are the only things that anyone's going to be interested in covering.
I would like to know what the $66,000 is for. The capital needs to come out, just like they've just pushed back Graham is.
So the one option is we shoot this down and we ask them for more information. The other is we shoot this down and we say, we need a broader agreement that all municipalities are sharing the same way because health services serve the entire region.
I like that better.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, I go to Sunridge for a dentist. So I mean, I'm sharing Burkes Falls and I'm sharing Sunridge. The least I got to run to Huntsville, or I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I like the idea of more of a broader picture from the center, like the group
Region
versus the village.
Yeah,
we want this. Yeah, I like that idea.
I just have a question. So would this agreement be drafted at the subcommittee for TRI or you're building AHEC?
so it's probably going to come out of the AHCC subcommittee.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see it come through.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Well, really, TRI's not fully involved.
No, I didn't think so. I was good. When subcommittee came up, I was.
Sorry, yeah.
I might make a correction and say that it would have to be driven either with some support from the municipalities that sit on the space, the buildings and space committee, but it's going to have to be driven by Burkes Falls because they're going to be the ones with the historical data to kind of back up what all the expenses and everything were. And I know I was kind of voluntold, go get an agreement put in there, but I wouldn't have access to the information to be able to come up with an agreement that made any sense. Realistically, it shouldn't be that much different in scope than a shared service agreement, for any shared service. But
it should be driven by Burkes Falls in my mind.
Yeah.
another thing that had come up, not to circle the wagons again, but was the notion of Senator Strong and Jolly, and that realistically they're paying the same share that Armour Township would be, but they're really only using X% of the services. While there may be the odd person here or there that has their family doctor down here, they're already paying for a lot of that. So is there a by floor space formula that could be developed to provide a little bit of pressure to Senator Strong and Jolly, who are already carrying another facility? It's only a matter of time with this agreement before somebody comes back and says, well, if we're shipping this money down to this facility, why is no money coming in? No, we have a lot of more extended services here, but
we don't even know though of this request out to 10 municipalities, how many of the 10 are contributing. I would say not, they aren't all contributing.
No.
I believe last year there was a lot of didn't.
Yeah.
When the question was asked.
I would be interested to know who does their snow removal. Is that done in-house? Is that a Berks Falls that does that snow removal, or is it an outside agency? I feel like we're being billed a lot of their in-house expenses.
Well, I think if we, out of the notion of for previous discussions, we've asked for information. They've come back with information, whether we liked it, lumped it, or indifferent. They've come back with information. I think the pushing out the questions that we have in writing and saying these are the challenges that we have. I've made a couple of notes of and of course we'll be rewatching this. Pushing that and say this is where the main pain points were. Can you provide us with some more information to make this decision as we work towards an agreement or what have you? Might make a lot of sense.
And Sean sits on the committee, so he's heard the challenge. He gets it.
Yeah.
He understands why there's pushback. So
one of the things with Graham yesterday was that it used to be their admin used to take care of things, their admin like parts from the arena, and that is now an expense item in the new budget. I'm wondering how many things are going from in that office to being pushed out to other or shared. Sorry?
No, they're going to specific.
Yes, like we're now being charged for snow removal, or we're now being charged the whole wage of their person that covers the health building, or we're being charged the whole admin fees of Graham,
When you disperse it like that, then
Well, you end up
other
having,
people like us get to help pay for it.
well, but we end up, if the person's full wage is $66,000 and that's the deficit, and 10 municipalities are paying a person's full wage, but 10% of their job is the health unit, or the health building, that's problematic.
More questions.
So based on this, we have a resolution to support the payment. We can carry it or defeat it. And if we defeat it, we've got a bunch of questions that have to go back to Berks Falls because we're not comfortable. That's what we're saying. So. Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? All those opposed? Let's defeat it. We had some other options to give blank amounts, but I'm thinking we'd just rather get the information to find out where we're going next.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, Omega OPP Detachment Board. That's item 12. I think there was anything that jumped out.
There was discussion about the municipalities' monthly or the draft total. So
that's right.
Beth has asked us to put that on hold. So that's on page 110 of your agenda package. Because there's some revisions that's going to be made for that.
Okay. Next up, Library Board, February 18th. Item 13.
Most of our meeting was discussed on the pay equity, which has finally been done. And it's been dealt with at the board level. There's going to be a film day. I believe it's going to be at the seniors building. The theater was unavailable. That was pretty much the meeting.
So I have some concerns about the building. There's one exit, and I need to formulate my thoughts a little bit. I find it very concerning and not safe for the 3 staff and potentially patrons to have one possible exit. If somebody blocks the one possible exit, nobody's leaving. There's been a few situations where I'm not sure how I would get my kids out of the building in the event of an emergency. They have, I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a panic button that can be pressed if there's, let's see,
Question.
okay, I think there's a panic button. And I know that there's been some training and some Narcan, or I think it's called Narcan, provided to the staff in case somebody ODs in the building. Other than locking themselves in the bathroom, I'm not sure what the staff can do if a patron comes in and becomes volatile. There's literally no way out if they decide to block the exit. It meets fire code. They only need one exit for fire code. I don't know that it meets the requirements of a safe work environment for our employees. Sorry?
And children.
And well, absolutely. Like I was like, I guess I would just like hide my children behind me in the event that this large person at the door doesn't want to let us leave.
You can almost, you can go into the liquor store.
There's exits. There's exits outside of the front, the main door for the liquor store.
I suppose, but without direction, the average person's not going to find it. The value mark would be the same. I know where you're coming from, but I think you're
Different than a classroom.
It is very different from a classroom. That was my exact thought. There's another person in the building. The teachers aren't in the classroom alone with nobody else in the building not knowing what's happening. We have single staffs. We have one staff in there alone at times with literally no way out. So a teacher, I mean, in the event that there's a situation there, if we don't have immediate call buttons to the main office, we have walkie-talkies, there's cell phones that, like there's somebody next door, right? Whereas at the library, there's.
The windows, do they open them?
No. I think they were advised if there's a fire and they can't get out the door to smash the window.
That's what you're told to do in your own home.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the fire situation is totally different than what you're talking about.
Yes.
There's situations, and thank goodness we don't live in those environments that I feel we have to be concerned. And
we do.
Right, Dorothy, if something happens and I know if I have family that are in there, then I'd feel differently. But I mean,
I'm less worried about children because I can be an adult and protect my own children. I'm way more worried about our staff.
Have the staff brought this up as a concern? Do we know?
I witnessed something that I was like, that poor human being, what are they supposed to do right now? Where the person had to physically put themselves between a volatile person and children on computers.
Do they have a working alone policy?
I'm sure they do, Nevis. They have a working alone policy?
We don't.
Do we need that?
Yeah, that's interesting because the arena have either just completed one or
Correct.
made some changes at the arena for working alone.
okay.
The arena just recently passed a policy of working alone because of an incident in the arena. And I have not brought to the attention of my board the working alone policy, which is something that is in the works. The schedule right now, I think, I will say 80% of the times there's always 2 staff members at all times. But again, it's the 20% that concerns me and concerns a counselor in your council.
Well, and not only working, I mean, it's not even that you're alone. There could be 2 people there. There could be 17 people there. What are you going to do? There
has been incidents involving police. There has been an OD, and there has been a volatile patron where, yes, it is putting myself between a patron that was not involved and the person who had, some issues. And, thank goodness nothing happened, but that, again, the police always says, you are not to be shielding your patrons. You are to be exiting the building. But if that person puts himself in front of the door, then what do you do?
Well, like the makeup of the library the door is very central. So it's going to be pretty hard to exit from anywhere. There's nowhere to go. There's literally nowhere to go.
So these issues should be brought back to the board, the library board, for discussion, right?
Yeah, the library board was aware of all these incidents, yes.
We have tried to, people don't work alone, like a lot of the hours now, but I mean, we are limited to the budget. And we are very limited to accommodating to people that, like, Nieves is nice enough. She comes in, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if you still do it, but she would come in on a Friday because the staff has to have lunch. So the staff is by themselves on Friday. Nieves would came in to cover the lunch hour just so that the library maintains it's still open. So I mean we're at this day and age we're spending more on
wages.
Well, like we're making sure it's a safe working environment by having an extra body. But like you say, it doesn't matter how many bodies you have. If somebody's violent and they're at the door, you don't have like I know what you're saying. I just don't see where anything can be done in that building.
I think that's my biggest concern is that the building is no longer suitable to a commercial tenant.
To a public space.
To a public space, thank you.
Well, I don't know what the fix is for that.
Back to the board.
And I mean, I am quite sure that this was brought up. This was one of the reasons why we needed a library. That would have been one of Nieves' concern, but it's been on the back burner now from the municipalities for at least 5 years. So it's not a concern as the municipalities.
So, and I hadn't even considered it until I was like, oh, it's not about a more space for more activities and we love libraries. And it's literally about we have employees who are unsafe because of the building, the makeup of the building.
And I'm quite sure Nieves brought that up years ago. And we've as a board, we have tried to accommodate to our best ability. And Nieves does it very well on the budget. I mean, we bare bones new books because all the budget goes to wages. Like, and every time we do something, it's like, okay, the municipalities want to do this. It's out of the board's hands. We just got to put it on. The budget goes up because of it.
The library is phenomenal. It's the programming coming out of that library is phenomenal. I literally looked at a situation and thought, how do I get out of this building?
Okay.
Is there any way to put another access that's only exit on front?
Even a big window or something with
remove an opening window, something like one of those windows open, like there's it, and it doesn't take long to figure out there's no way out. There's one.
No, and honestly, like, I mean, for argument's sake, if somebody was standing in front of the door, they're 3 steps from anywhere in that building.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no, you can't put a door in the back of the building. It's just not. Like,
we could potentially change the front window.
Yeah, but with being a municipal building, it has to be accessible. I mean, you have somebody in there and there's a situation if the person's in a wheelchair, and they can't get outdoor,
Both exits have to be accessible.
well, I would think so.
I would think so.
It is. It is. It complies with AODA.
The one exit, the one we currently have,
The
yes.
one exit, yes.
So a secondary, but I mean, it's smashing the window to get out of a fire is not accessible.
So could we take, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, your concerns are, you've been in a situation where your mind has put you in that position. I am sure the conversation come up years ago. But as a board, I personally can't see anything happening in that building. So I can, but go ahead, what you were gonna say.
I was just gonna say, can we raise it at least as an issue at the board meeting, so that it's a topic of discussion?
Yeah.
The library board get.
Have the library board,
Yeah.
Especially the
Yeah,
working
with the
alone.
other two
Okay,
councillors.
working alone at very least. At very least, we need a working alone policy.
Yeah, that should be a no-brainer.
Right. And
But yeah,
and
like I don't work there and I didn't know how I was getting out. So
And at the library board level, we will have the other two councillors discussing this issue. So maybe they could provide some insight on how they think it could be mitigated. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for bringing it up, Dorothy. Okay. Anything else in the library board?
No.
Agricultural Society. Thank you.
We just discussed the fair. We don't have to worry about the agriculture or the Heritage Day getting involved on that. Just flying some new ideas around the Agricultural Society, just who's going to do what. Nothing's going to change much. It's just getting the volunteers again, getting lined up with what's happening with the fall fair. Yeah. There's the next event is the Easter egg drop. That's what they're planning up and coming. So.
Questions for Rod on that one? All right, we're up to correspondence. I think we should probably take a quick break. We can do the rest. Break until we'll say 8:50. Give us 13 minutes. Okay, so I'm just going to backtrack a little bit. We missed a quick update on the library that we just found out hot off the press that we want to make sure Navis heard. So Dave's got the email that Navis had sent him earlier tonight. So Dave, I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, for sure. So yes, we did have, I got an email entitled "The Fabulous Update." You'll recall that we discussed the matter with potential postage rates applying to interlibrary transfers.
Yeah.
So as the email reads, the House of Commons Finance Committee approved amendments to Bill C-15, 2025 Budget Implementation Act that reinstates the protections for free literature for the blind and reduced postage rates for library materials in the Canada Post Corporations Act. The new wording reads, the corporation must provide for the transmission by post, free of postage, of letters, books, and tapes, records, and other similar material for the use of the blind, and a reduced rate of postage for library materials lent by a library to a borrower, including by means of interlibrary loan. So good movement in short order on that. Thank you for providing that update.
Excellent. That's good, Navis. Must have been happy to
Thank
hear
you for
that.
reading it. Yes. Great news.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, we're on to correspondence. There's a couple of resolutions, one very long one. And then we'll get into unfinished and new business. First up under item number 14, whereas improved financial stability allows municipal residents to participate, contribute, and invest in their local economies and communities. Poverty puts additional pressures on municipalities who are responsible for delivering necessary public and social services to support residents who are struggling with the consequences of inadequate income. And whereas poverty, homelessness, and food insecurity have detrimental impacts on physical and mental health, and whereas income is an important social determinant of health that greatly impacts a household's ability to pay for the basic costs of living, including housing and food. And whereas the 2025 North Bay Prairie Sound food affordability results show that households reliant on social assistance do not have enough money for costs of living, Therefore, be it resolved that Township of Armour supports efforts to raise awareness about and work to reduce poverty, homelessness, and food insecurity. And furthermore, be it resolved that Township of Armour endorses the recommendations from the North Bay Parry Sound District Health Unit and call on the province of Ontario to increase Ontario Works and Ontario Disability Support Program rates to reflect the cost of living and index Ontario Works rates to inflation going forward. Jerry, and I got. Dorothy. You can get the next.
I didn't see Dorothy's hand. She got it up and down before I looked up.
All those in favor? And that's carried. So I think it's Magneto one. Council Township of Armour supports the municipality of Magneto and calls upon the government of Canada, including ISED, to strengthen affordability requirements tied to federal broadband funding and universal access programs. Got Rod. Seconder Wendy. All those in favor? And that's carried. And I believe that's it for resolutions on the correspondence. Budget discussion, budget time coming up in March. March 24th will be discussion time, and hopefully by the 14th of April, we'll have our budget approved. And we're on to item 20 under unfinished business employment opportunities. So this is the office administrator position that has been advertised, and it sounds like we're getting a lot of
Significant response.
Okay, excellent. And Friday is the closing date.
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, new business, Tri-Council Subcommittee draft terms of reference. So we have a resolution for this one. I'll read the resolution and then we can go through any questions you might have for Dave and Wendy. Council of Township of Armour hereby approve the draft terms of reference for the Shared Services Advisory Committee, and further that council direct staff to circulate the approved terms of reference to the Township of Ryerson and Village of Burkes Falls for consideration and corresponding approval, and further that the terms of reference take effect upon adoption by all participating municipalities.
Sure.
Rod. Seconder.
Sure.
Dorothy. Okay, questions for Dave or for Wendy, I guess, on this one? Look pretty straightforward.
Yeah, we just wanted to get a few things written down, formalized. We're still meeting once a month, basically.
It was originally supposed to be a discussion last night. I think with the depth of discussion that we were getting into, we had pushed it on to just having councils adopt it. So essentially, this is just to solidify the informal committee into a formal committee for all things tri-services related. I think it was felt around the table that the partners get along fairly well together and can share information and move recommendations along fairly quickly. It's off to a great start.
Yeah, it's good. I like the terms. It's nice and simple and easy to understand. It's good.
Nice template for everywhere else.
It's great for the millions of committees.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor? That's carried as well. Next up, item 21. So this, oops, sorry, 22. We've mentioned this before, but this is the request for expressions of interest for at a Megwin Health and Innovation Hub, as we've now dubbed it. So this is the EOI that would be released for feedback from partners, healthcare and otherwise. I'll read the resolution and then we can have questions. Council Township of Armour approves the draft request for expressions of interest, REOI 2026-01, regarding the Megwin Health and Innovation Hub on the Pegs Mountain Road development lands. Direct staff to undertake all necessary administrative actions to facilitate the REOI process. Furthermore, council directs staff to report to council with a summary of responses received and recommended next steps following the closing of the process.
Yes.
Sure.
Dorsey.
This is so exciting.
I think this just puts, like, we've discussed it. I think this is the next, we were saying to Rod, this is the next step, just to, let's push it a little bit harder.
Well, it's so beautifully clear that I think the buy-in from people is going to be very easy. Like, we've painted a beautiful picture of what you can create here. I think it's incredible.
It should be lots of good. We're hoping for good feedback from strong partners.
Well done to whoever put this on pen to paper.
David.
I asked them to put it together.
Did you?
It's like a chat GPT.
The team effort.
It looks fantastic.
You read your mind very well.
It looks incredible.
Well,
So how much land is actually available for this? Like, we speak in here about that we purchased a 24-acre parcel. But that's part of that's the fire hall, is it not?
Yeah, I think when we did the resolution to
We've already
give the land away, I think we said 3 acres or somewhere.
Was it?
I believe it was 3 to 4 or something like that.
I thought 2, but I could be completely wrong. But we've already agreed to that, right? To the chunk of land being dedicated to this, correct? Okay.
We did end up giving a little bit more to the fire hall build, and necessarily, I will say, we did end up giving a little bit more to the fire hall build. We had to push some of the property lines a little bit more easterly than hoped originally, but I think if we looked at it in terms of my understanding of council's priority was to have the fire halls priority 1, this facility as priority 2, and then if there was additional lands left over, then it could be considered for things like residential apartments, whatever the case may be. So if you remember all of the designs that we had Greystone provide to us, there were 3 things, and I think the priority that I saw that was kind of the 1, 2, 3 of fire, potential medical services, and so on. So so long as we don't end up running into issues with setbacks like for MTO, which we are still, I think the proposal will suss out what challenges we may have there. I think the whole idea behind this is to get us beyond that tipping point of we have land, we have ideas. Do we have partners that we can work with to lever some senior level funding as well as private sector investment? And I know there's been discussion that there's been some potential interest. So hopefully this can commission and move things along for more of a multi-year.
So our MTO setback is still an unknown at this point, or?
Well, I think because we're so close, it'll be a matter of what they would like to see come across their desk for approvals. We're not coming off of an MTO right of way, but we are fairly close to one.
Okay.
You can always build a wall. They got walls in Toronto.
No walls in Armour Township.
I don't
Here to love people and
Walls down there for sound.
Oh, I don't know. This looks fantastic.
Yeah, so if council's in agreement, then we can reach out to people who've expressed interest in the past, but there may be other people that even in the last couple of weeks, there've been other potential partners that have come up out of the woodwork a little bit. So,
Well, somebody could have this dream and have no idea where to put it. And
Much like what's going on out on the 520, right? It just happened to be the right time, the right mind read it and could foresee something.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? That's carried. Thanks for doing that, Dave and Shar.
I didn't do anything. I just wrote the resolution.
Well,
I proofread it.
I like your resolution because it was short.
I'm very cautious about it.
We're all learning.
Item 23, I think this is just note from the Village of Berks Falls. Run the transfer of land. And I believe that's it.
Just quick question on Do we have any more out there on the lands we were buying from Antigo?
No further update. I haven't seen anything.
Nothing new? Okay.
So about 6 to 8 months ago, I'd have to look back at my emails. We got, you can tell they're going through the process because they send out a blanket email to all potential partners who may have an interest in that property. We were one of those partners, so I said, yeah, I'm interested in that property, and haven't heard anything back yet. You're speaking about Katrina Road.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're waiting to hear things back. I'm not sure exactly where we are in terms of months in the process, but
Send them a check for $100 and say thank you for the purchase of the land.
we had Jerry go in to have a look at that. That seems like a reasonable assessment.
Yeah.
Here's your $100.
Neighbor.
Hey, if they cash it, you
I don't
won't.
remember how I did it.
You don't be my problem.
All
I
right,
did it once and I kind of.
Council of the Township of Armour adjourned this regular council meeting at 9:03.
Sure.
All right. Second,
And close to Diane's bedtime, so we gotta get it.
tomorrow night, the rain, 6:30.